perhaps are familiar with Kathy Zavada. We are so excited to always have her come back here. Kathy comes from Mount Shasta, and she is a nationally acclaimed performing and recording artist. She's a producer of sacred music. She's an ordained interfaith minister and many, many more things. She has lots of CDs on the back table. And I understand she also has some retreats coming up. So please check the back table at the end of the service so you know more about Kathy. But right now, Kathy's going to lead us through a song.
Yes, I want to do a song we can all sing together. And good morning. I'm delighted to be here with you all. And with everything that's going on in the world, I was reflecting this morning on this beautiful quote from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who said that, you know, when you get to the end of life, what really mattered was how much love you were able to give and receive. So I think I learned when I was about 10 years old. And all of you over 45 will remember this. It's a great song by Jesse Colin Young. And it's just called Love One Another. Come on, people now. You can do it. Please join me. Love is but the song we sing, and fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains rain, or make the angels cry. You know the dove is on the wing, and you need not know why. So come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Some may come and some may go, and we shall surely pass. When the one who left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading on the grass. So come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Right now, right now, right
Thank you so much, Kathy. That was beautiful. We'd like to have a few unity announcements, so I'm going to ask Kathy to come up. Another Kathy.
Thank you. So, while I'm on the subject of love, love has been a lifelong study, and I've probably written more songs about love than anything else. And so I want to do one more. And this song is, this was inspired by really contemplating, why am I here? You know, why have I come to earth? What is my purpose? What is our deepest truth? So this is called Love is the Reason. I invite you to maybe take a deep breath in. As you exhale, just let yourself arrive fully to this brand new present moment, this precious moment. We get to be in this sacred space. We get to get in touch once again with our hearts. Love has so many forms: kindness, compassion, forgiveness, understanding, patience. A smile that tells me I'm accepted in your was here this morning. I can see it in your face. Love is in the way the songbirds greet this brand new day. And I pray love will use me in the most beautiful of ways. Oh, love is the reason I am here. Oh, love is the reason I am here. There's no time to waste while this life is moving on. I know there's something you want to discover before it's gone. Maybe it's to lie down in a field of emerald green with the fragrance of the flowers floating on a summer breeze. Or perhaps it's just to live this day, each moment as it comes, with the willingness to give yourself to love. Just the willingness to give yourself to love. To love. There is enough love here to melt away the doubt and fear, the sorrow and tears, and bring us healing. I was here this morning. I can see it in your face. Love is what has brought us to this very sacred place. And I pray love will use us in the most beautiful of ways. Oh, love is the reason we are here. Oh, love is the reason we are here. It's love. Love is the reason we are here.
Kathy has asked me to read a reading to lead into her talk, and this is from a book called Living the Eternal Way, Spiritual Meaning and Practice for Daily Life. And this is about practicing contentment. In order to practice contentment, one must learn the art of letting go, which is related to the practice of non-attachment. When we let go with faith, we are trusting the outcome to the divine, Letting go with faith is very different than letting go in resignation. When we let go with resignation, we lack trust and have given up on happiness. Letting go in resignation is despair. Letting go in faith is contentment. To experience contentment, one must cultivate even-mindedness, being non-reactive to change. We can do this when we are identified with the eternal, unchanging self. Now, often much of our life force is spent resisting change. Resistance is hard work. Learning to let go of forcing the outcomes according to our ego-driven desire, and yet work joyfully to accomplish useful work in the world is a delicate balance. The key is surrender. Surrender the outcome to the divine. Surrender attention inwardly to divine presence. This is where contentment is to be found. Nothing that can be achieved in this world can promise more. The key is surrender.
I love that reading. So I want to share a chant and then take us into a bit of a meditation. And this is a song that is inspired by the process of letting go. There's a beautiful quote: if you let go a little, you have a little happiness. If you let go a lot, you have a lot of happiness. If you let go completely, you will be free. So just invite us into a time now of just a little more letting go. There's nothing to do here except really rest in your eternal being. Rest in the changeless essence of who you are that is always, always, always at peace. So I'll sing a chant and invite you to sing along. Invitation to let go and let God. As the wind blows, I let go. As the wind blows, I let go. Let go, let God, let go, let God, let go, let God, let go. Sing as you exhale, breathe out, releasing, just turning your attention to breathing in with ease and grace, and breathing out, letting go a little bit more each time you exhale. And as you let your attention be on breathing in and breathing out, notice your body. Notice if there's any tension, and just invite that tension to let go. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the belly, relaxing the hips, the legs, the arms, relaxing your chest, relaxing your heart area, relaxing your face, relaxing your mind. Letting that mind rest and return home to Source. Like the sun is always there, our changeless essence, our true nature of peace, our true nature that's already free and untouched by anything in this world. It's always here. Sometimes there are clouds that obscure the sun, but we know it's there. We know it's here within us. So letting go of all the stress and tension, all the worry, all the anxiety, you can let it all be released as you breathe out. And as you breathe in, return home to peace. So I invite you now, just 5 slow, natural, relaxed breaths. Taking one more moment just to listen to the rain. Blessed rain. And now slowly, when you're ready, remember this peace is your true nature, and it is always here, waiting for you to just turn your attention within, to turn off the phone, the computer, to turn off the world, and return to the greater world within, the unlimited, eternal self. So when you're ready, you can slowly bring your attention now back to your body, back to this sacred gathering, and prepare now for the message. Good morning. I think the best service really would be to just listen to the rain. Don't you think? Oh, it's just such a beautiful sound. Thank you, God. Thank you. So I'm so delighted to be here with you in Ashland and be with you here this morning. And I want to tell you a little story before I get into my talk about this Zen master that went to New York City. There was a Zen master that was invited to visit New York City and give a Dharma talk, and he was pretty excited about it, getting out of the monastery. And so he went, and he was doing a walking meditation in Central Park and loving being in New York City. And all of a sudden, he got a craving for a soy dog. And it was novel. He hadn't had a craving in years, but he had this craving for a soy dog. So he decided to just go ahead and fulfill this one craving. And he went looking for a vendor. And sure enough, there was a vendor there at the side of Central Park that served soy dogs. So he walked up to him and he said, "Make me one with everything." And the vendor smiled and got out the bun and put on the soy dog and put on organic onions and organic relish and organic ketchup and mustard and handed him one with the works. And he took it, delighted, and he gave him a $20 bill. And the vendor put it in his box and shut the lid. And after a few moments, the Zen master said, "Hey, where's the change?" And he said, with a smile and a soulful look, he said, "Change must come from within." Sounds like a New Yorker. Change must come from within, but often what inspires change is what's happening around us and what's happening without and what's happening in the world. And a lot of times what inspires change are the most challenging things that happen to us. And we can take those things and we can use them like compost, and we can grow in our beauty. We can grow in our spiritual life and awakening, or we can throw cow patties. If you've been watching the news, there's an example, some great examples of that. So we get to choose. We get to choose what we do with our challenging situations. And sometimes life brings us really challenging situations, and it really shakes up our world. And change can happen really fast, and that's when we really see if our spiritual practice is done any good, right? We get to really apply these years of our spiritual practice, all the workshops, all the retreats, or we get to see that we actually really do need to cultivate and turn up that spiritual work and those spiritual practices. So for me, I've had a really interesting time in the last couple of months. Let's see, back in January, I went to Maui, and I go there every year, and I had a wonderful first week of being with the ocean and being in my own silent retreat and just being so nourished by the beauty there. And the second week, I gave a retreat, which I give every year, and people from all over the world. And by the second night, though, of the retreat, I was getting more and more pain in my jaw. And finally, I realized, oh my gosh, I think it's a tooth abscess. By the morning, it was very, very painful. And about 2 days later, I was having to really call on every bit of my spiritual practice and the capacity in meditation to really transcend the body. By the last night, though, after dinner, I was just laying on the bed going, how am I going to give a concert? At that point, I had like a little tangerine right here inside my cheek. And one of the people from the retreat came to see me and said, "How you doing?" I said, "Oh, I don't know how I'm going to sing. I don't feel good." And she said, "We have received so much. We have gotten so still, and our hearts have opened so much. We want you to rest. We are so fulfilled. We're so filled up. We just want you to rest." And it was hard. I'm like, "Oh, but no, I want to get up and sing with, and maybe a couple songs, She's like, please just rest. And she left, and 15 minutes later, she came back with the whole group. They all crowded in I had a little octagon room, and they all crowded around my bed. Some sat on my bed, and they started rubbing my feet, and, they put on a Kathy Zavada CD, and they sang to me. And they sang the whole album, and they knew every word. And the whole time I'm laying here, and tears are just streaming down my face, being so touched by that love, and realizing, sometimes you just have to receive. You're sort of, shown that, sometimes you need to learn to open to love even more, and that means receiving it. And it was an amazing experience of being in some of the worst pain ever. And at the same time, feeling my heart touched, having one of the most beautiful experiences ever. So I came home, and I had a root canal. And the very next morning I woke up. I've been living in Mount Shasta for 24 years. I woke up, and my house was flooded. I put my little feet into my little slippers, and they were all wet, and the whole floor was all wet. And I had to move out immediately. So, and there was nothing to rent in Mount Shasta, so I came here to Ashland, and I'm staying in a B&B. And it's a great rate for a month, monthly rent, and I'm having an adventure, and I'm really choosing to see it all as an adventure, and I'm really so grateful for the spiritual practice, for all the teachers, for all the teachings that have really helped me have equanimity about all of this change, a lot of change. I feel so initiated, and it is the wisdom teachings, and it is the teachers in my life, the stillness of mind, the capacity to still the mind, like we just did in meditation, and also just to open the heart to life, just to open the heart and say, live me, life, I'm yours, and trust that. Really trust it. Sometimes the universe gives you a little boot, doesn't it? It's not exactly what you want at the time, but it's perfect because it's what's happening. So I know that many of us are going through change, and change can be really intense. We can lose a loved one, we can lose our job, we can lose our home, there can be a lot of loss. And we're pressed to the wall sometimes, and that's why we cultivate spiritual practice. That's why we become skillful at taking care of difficult emotions, like they're little children. We embrace them and we take care of them. And we also meditate and get still so we have a connection to the changeless being, the awake awareness within. I don't know, I see some of you here from the Gangaji. How many people went? A number of people went and saw Gangaji yesterday, which was that just yesterday? Was it 2 days ago? Yeah. But she's a teacher of mine that I love, and I've worked with her leading chanting for the last 12 years or so. And she's always pointing back to that changeless essence, to that place in you that's already at peace and that's already free. And like the sun is always here. The clouds come, so it's really a matter of letting go, and it's a matter of parting the clouds and getting back in touch with our changeless being. There's a wonderful quote from Roy Eugene Davis, who is the teacher of Ellen Grace O'Brien from the book you read, and he's a Yogananda student for many years, and I love this quote. By self-training, learn to always be established in calm awareness of your changeless essence, regardless of where you are or what is occurring in your personal life or in the world. So to have calm awareness of our changeless essence, it's to be calm, it's to be clear, it's to be aware and resting peacefully in our true nature. And it's really a place where the mind is returned to source, the mind is taken back home to its true nature. It really was that helped mitigate the suffering that I could have felt during that tooth abscess. I feel like I suffered about 20%, and that 80% that I didn't suffer, I could have suffered if I let the mind tell a story about why this is not okay, right? It's really the non-resistance that mitigates our suffering. It's not resisting what is. It's raining, why have a problem with the rain, right? get your raincoat, get your umbrella, do what you can, and then be at peace with the rain, is the teaching. The Dalai Lama says it well. He says, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Okay, that's a good one. So you have to check that out for yourself. I mean, for me, I was in a lot of pain. And, the last thing I wanted during a retreat is to have a tooth abscess, It's the last thing I wanted. But I just couldn't let my mind get going with a story about that. Because I could have, And the other reason that the capacity to rest the mind in stillness was so useful, and it enabled me to really transcend the body and just go so far into the infinite being of myself that I am familiar with, that I was able to transcend the physical pain quite a bit. And there are great masters that really can completely do this. Like Michael Singer, I think I spoke on him a few times back. He doesn't get anesthesia when he goes to the dentist. Alma, the hugging saint, she doesn't either. I'm not there. I'm not there. Working on it, but bring on the anesthesia for a root canal. So I'd like to share with you the passionate realizations I've had really in these last 2 months more deeply, because that's really what it is. It's really learning. We all have heard this, but it's like integrating it and learning it more deeply so we're really living it. 8 keys on how we live in this calm awareness of our changeless essence, even when everything is changing. Okay? The first one is to spend time beyond the mind, to develop the capacity to feel spacious being without thoughts. There's the simplest meditation practice is training your mind on the breath, right? That's what we did just now. And the breath is like, it's a stick. It's giving the mind something to concentrate on, giving the mind something to stay with. In India, I've been to India 5 times, and they have everything on the streets there. They have people walking, they have goats, they have cars, they have rickshaws, they have elephants, they have trucks. And the elephants, when they walk down the street, if you don't put something in their trunk, they'll like get tangerines from the cart over here, and they'll walk down and they'll grab leaves from the tree, and they'll take this guy's straw hat, And if you take their trunk and wrap it in a stick, they behave perfectly. They just walk down the street and behave. So that's what we do with our mind. We need to give the mind a stick. And the stick is paying attention to your in-breath and your out-breath. It's always in the present. You can't breathe in the past. You can't breathe in the future. Right? So paying attention to the breath, or a mantra. My mantra that I like to focus on is Ma when I breathe in and Om when I breathe out. But you can choose any mantra. The other thing I like to do in meditation, and it is a Yogananda practice, is bring your attention for a little while to the pineal gland, the third eye, and just spend a little time looking up, as you're meditating, just kind of looking up inside your head, because this pineal gland is a gland that when it opens, floods the brain with light, with more light. So, another beautiful practice. The second thing is to develop the ability to notice the body, the mind, and the emotions as something you observe with neutrality. In other words, learn to disidentify with your body, your mind, and your emotions. You want to take time for all of those 3 things. You want to take care of the body, take care of the emotions, and take care of the mind. But there's a time for that, and then there's a time to connect to something greater. There's something greater. That's the changeless awareness. That's the essence. Third thing is to cultivate love in conscious circle. I love that you have a men's group. Do you have a women's group here too? Oh, well, let's start one. We need a women's group. Cultivate love in conscious circle. Conscious circle, getting together, 2 or more gathered in the name of love and in the name of awakening. And also spend time with conscious beings. Alma, my teacher, always says, like when you go in an incense factory, you come out smelling like incense. You don't really have to try very hard. It's the same with hanging out with a conscious being, or with somebody that's... Yogananda says the same thing. Try to hang out with people that are vibrating, maybe even a little higher, that really help you awaken, help you grow. Number 4, cultivate prayerful connection to God. For me, when I sing, I pray. I got lots of CDs. You can take them and sing along, and however you pray, just it's like when we call to that, it comes running. But we have to call to it. We have to cultivate love for that infinite being, whatever you want to name it. Cultivate that devotion, that love. Eckhart Tolle, he says, love and joy are inseparable from your natural state of interconnectedness with being. That's our true nature. We can't lose it. That's the good news. But it can be shrouded. It can be shrouded by clouds. It can be shrouded by mind stuff. It can be shrouded by tumultuous emotions. And so we have to take time to take care of those things. Number 5, always be teachable. I love in Buddhism, they call it the beginner's mind. Have a beginner's mind, you know. You know when you're with somebody who thinks they know everything. It's like the cup's full, right? You can't add anything. It's so much more pleasant to be with someone who's humble and open to life and lets life fill you with awe and wonder. You don't know everything. It's a relief to not know everything, okay? Number 6, become a master of non-attachment, like the song says, let go, let God. And we have to let go many times a day, you know. Forgive the day and the evening. Let go. Let your heart be completely cleared, okay? And then number 7, become a master of non-resistance to what is. See if you can notice when you're telling a story about why what's happening isn't okay. Let yourself tell the story. You know, you gotta have, the emotions have to be released. But just give it a time limit, you know, maybe 10 minutes, and then, shift, okay? And then number 8, be courageous and embrace change. Take action if you've been unhappy for some time. I've been wanting to move to Ashland. I've been talking about it for 3 years, And I was going to wait, though, till everything was just perfectly in place, and everything was perfect, and I could securely move into my new chapter. But that's not how it works. Sometimes you have to take the leap, and you have to, let there be a vacuum. So another great quote from Eckhart Tolle says, any action is often better than no action, especially if you've been stuck in an unhappy situation for a long time. And I actually haven't been stuck. I've been happy down there, but I'm just feeling this guidance, this inner moving me to do this. So if it's a mistake, at least you learn something, in which case it's no longer a mistake. Okay? If you remain stuck, though, you learn nothing. So lastly, I'd like to say, make your goal heart-centered living. Heart-centered living. Everyone, all of us, we have a heart that has a capacity for infinite love. When I was laying there on that bed and I was listening to these angels sing to me, and tears were streaming down my face, I was feeling like my heart was getting stretched as wide as the sky. And the feeling of love, the profound feeling of feeling greater love than ever kind of filled me. So we all have this capacity for greater love, and we have the capacity to rest in this changeless essence, to be in touch with it, to live life from this awake awareness of our changeless essence. And in that, we are at peace already. We are peace. We are walking, breathing peace. So may every one of us here awaken to that changeless essence and know it and feel it and live it every moment. And may all beings everywhere feel it and know it and live in peace. Thank you. Stay. Okay, well, I'm going to have to sing you a new one, a fairly new one that is kind of on fire inside of me right now. And this is a song pretty much about what I just said, but sometimes it's better to sing it. This is for all you right-brain folks out there. This is called Something Greater is Calling.
Thank you. That just makes me want to dance. How about you? Thank you, Kathy. Let's give Kathy more love. So this brings us to our time of offering.